you kind of cycle back from wanting something to happen, and then when something does happen, you think, oh, that's really stupid, and you go back to wanting nothing to happen, and then you just kind of cycle back and forth for an hour and a half. God, I hope that intro made sense. Alright, hey guys, just me tonight, because I guess it's just solo me on the shitty horror night event. God damn it. Okay. I think I reviewed The First Boy by myself, too, way back when that movie came out. Oh god, I don't even remember anymore. So yeah, this feels like a January horror movie that somehow made its way into February for some reason. I guess they thought this movie had enough brand power to like get a good turnout for the sequel. Did it? I don't know. I don't care. For those who don't remember the first movie, and I don't fucking blame you, I'm gonna spoil the first movie, by the way, if you care. The first movie was also an extremely bland, extremely boring horror movie that was only really known for its twist ending, where it turns out, again, spoiler, that there was, like, the doll wasn't possessed or, like, haunted or evil the whole time. It was really, there was a boy, just a grown-ass man living in the walls of his mansion, and he's the one that's been doing everything. And that was, like, you know, that was, like, the one memorable thing about the first movie. Honestly, like, I put a gun to my head. I could barely remember anything else that happens in that movie. Because the whole movie teases like, oh, is the doll haunted? Is it possessed? Ooh, like, is this never? Like, no, it's just a grown-ass man living in the walls of this house, and that's why there's so many fucking rules. That at least it made the rules make sense in, like, in a weird way. Like, it was not perfect logic, but, like, okay, it tracks, I can follow it. But then they kind of run into a problem, because I guess they want to make a sequel to this, and they kill the dude in the walls at the end of the first movie, and they destroy the dolls. It's like, okay, well, shit, now we need to figure out a way to make enough plot for a sequel. I guess we'll just have the doll actually be possessed the whole time. Sure. And also give it, like, a demon face underneath the doll face, even though we broke the doll in the first movie and there was no demon face there. In fact, they show it being repaired in this movie and there's still no demon face there. So really, it makes absolutely no fucking sense why that'd be the case here. But sure, we'll go with that. It really was the doll the whole time. Guess what, guys? The butler really did do it. God, this movie's so stupid. It's just, like, this is so not a movie, like, it's probably a short review, because I don't really I'm not, like, upset, like, I'm not, like, as insulted as I was with the turning, and feel, in terms of just feeling like my intelligence is being actively punched in the face, by the plot of this thing. But that being said, this movie is still really, really fucking stupid. And it goes from having nothing happen for long stretches of time to having a bunch of shit happen all at once, and all of it is dumb. Which I know isn't very good criticism, it's just me putting labels on things, but it's like, this movie isn't really worthy of advanced critique. Okay, just as a couple examples. The entire plot of this movie by the way, this movie starts out with jump scares. You already know you're in for a bad time. That's how I knew right away. It's like, oh, this movie's gonna be a fucking garbage. It opens up with Katie Holmes, who has a business, doing business things. I don't know, that's not really defined what she does, I wasn't paying attention. And right off the bat, like, the opening scene is when she gets home from work, and it opens with a jump scare with, like, her son trying to scare her, and it tries to build up this jump scare, like these two shoes that are, like, edged out towards the hallway, and she's like, oh, what's his name, Jude, hey Jude, I don't know what his name is, I'm just gonna go with Jude, because fuck it, and he goes, Jude, is that you? He turns around the corner, and, it's playing, like, the build-up scare music, the dun 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 dun, like, this is gonna be a scary moment, even though it's very clearly gonna be a fake out. Oh no! And then the boy jumps out and is like, did I scare you? And it's like, that's the start of the movie. You started out with an obvious fake out jump scare before you bothered to build any character, plot, or reason. This is gonna be great, guys. This is gonna be so good. Oh my god. I'm so tired after watching this movie. And then it's, God, I'm trying to write my thoughts around this movie. Sorry guys. I'm getting over a cold. It's making my head all fuzzy. I feel like that's an excuse I'm relying on, though, just because I'm trying to figure out something to say about this piece of shit, other than that it is just a piece of shit. And right off the bat, and this is the part that just annoys the crap out of me, is, like, instead of, like, establishing character or, like, relationships or who these people are or anything along those lines, you know, stuff like to actually, like, set up a horror movie at the beginning of the movie, stuff just kind of happens, and then it, like, tries to dial it back from a place of trauma, but it doesn't feel earned because we didn't know anything about them before the trauma happened, and now we're just supposed to, like, ride with them, like, through the trauma, but it doesn't feel organic at all. It just feels like a contrived plot element to stretch things out and contrive some nonsense. Okay, let me take a step back. So, like, after the jump scare thing happens, first off, it's already something that's, I guess, like, maybe in earlier drafts, something was more clearly off with this kid. Because, first of all, the kid, God bless him, he's trying, but he's a terrible actor, which might be why they wrote in this plot device I'll get to in a second. But every time he speaks, isn't, like, a really cliche, like, "Hi, Mommy, I missed you," like that super sunny, like, 60s ideal child kind of face, and it's like, oh god, you're gonna be really annoying, aren't you? And he is, but not for the reasons you think. But right off the bat, like, something just feels off about this kid, because they put him in his room behind his bed. There's this gigantic fucking mural that looks like just Tim Burton's Wet Dreams, and all these, like, like, just terrifying monster things looking at him. I guess it's supposed to be charming. Like, I was trying to figure out the purpose behind that, and I bring this up in particular because it pops up a few times, and I'm like, you had to do that on purpose. That wasn't just like a wallpaper thing you found one day. You did that on purpose. Why? Was it supposed to establish that kids in some weird shit? Like, maybe if it was the case, maybe that's what it was trying to establish. It's not established very well. It's like, maybe that's why he gets attracted to the doll when he finds it later in the movie. Maybe that's what they were going for. But if that's what they're going for, it's really poorly established. And you're just kind of like, wait, what the fuck is that? What is this kid? What is this kid like? What does this kid do? But where we can find out any of that, we know virtually nothing about this kid before the inciting incident happens, which happens, like, right after his mom puts him to bed, and then they get burglared, and these two burglars break in, even though they have an alarm system, sure. And one of them knocks one of the mom unconscious while the kid watches, screams, "Mommy!" And then it cuts to several months later, and I guess the kid is mute now because of trauma. And the only way he communicates is through this, through a fucking writing pad, like a magical writing pad that never runs out of paper. Excuse me, guys. I know it's gross. And this is where things get really annoying really quickly. Now, look, I'm not saying kids don't get quiet and stuff like this after trauma. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not gonna comment on that. I'm not gonna say with any kind of authority what a kid would or wouldn't do under trauma. That being said, the way it's done here feels so forced, so contrived, and it feels like just a way to get around the fact that the kid can't really act, so they had him just, they gave him as little excuse to talk as humanly possible, because they realized quickly, it's like, oh my god, what did we do? We bought a kid because he looked kind of like, we hired a kid because he kind of like the doll, and that's, like, the only reason we hired him, and he can't fucking act. So we're just gonna, like, have him say nothing and just scribble shit the rest of the movie. That's mostly what it does, and it's a really annoying plot device, and it drove me crazy, and I fucking hate it. Thanks, I hate it. But, like, meanwhile, Katie Holmes deal with her own trauma, but I guess her trauma doesn't matter nearly as much as their son's trauma, because her trauma largely gets dismissed by her husband, who is saying, like, maybe you're using your child to, like, not deal with shit. But that being said, it's like, honey, our child isn't saying anything, is drawing... I'm fucking rambling. I'm jumping from point to point. I'm making no sense. Let me back up. Yeah, so, and meanwhile, Katie Holmes, trauma, who I feel like has more of an excuse to be more traumatized, seeing that she was one that was, actually attacked, and it's kind of dealt with, but it's really only dealt with in that she couldn't protect her son, which kind of feels like a fuck you. And that's not me, like, interpreting the text. That's the actual text. Like, especially at the very end where they said, we need Brahms because you couldn't protect us. The child says, now, I guess, pseudo-possessed by the doll. Sure. And by the way, this fucking doll is, like, the worst movie monster and is so easily defeated at the end. Or it's like, you could have saved yourself so much time and effort if you did this, like, 5 hours ago. And I'll get to that, because that's where most of this shit happens. That's mostly, like, anything worth talking about happens towards the end of this fucking thing. Kind of like the first movie. So anyway, they're trying to deal with their trauma, and they're not doing very well. So they say, like, okay, I guess we'll go out to the country. Maybe that'll help us feel better. So they end up renting, like, a renovated guest house to the original house in the first movie. Sure. And the boy finds Brahms, like, buried outside somewhere, and there's this, groundskeeper who's played by the guy from The Witch. You can recognize that fucking bass anywhere, man. And the boy decides he really likes Brahms, and he keeps him around, and then he introduces the rules, which now make no sense because the reason the rules existed is dead. So now the rules just are kind of there, and they make no sense. But whatever. The more I think about it, the more mad I get about it. And more, like, the doll seems to be having an influence on the child, but it's also helping him talk, so the parents kind of decide to go along with it, and I'm making it sound way more coherent than it actually is. But there are just long stretches of this film where it's just the boy and the doll are just kind of doing stuff, and that's real. Or like Katie Holmes going, I don't know about that doll. And the dad's like, I don't know. The dad goes, the doll doesn't seem to be doing any harm. And the mom goes, that doll creeps me out. And the dad goes, you're silly. And that's basically, like, long stretches of the movie are just those conversations, and nothing really happens. And anything that does happen is like the occasional jump scare. But it's mostly just a fake out sequence, so it just feels like padding. It feels like nothing's earned. There's not even real, like, character development. Like, I think this movie's trying to make, like, this kid, like, creepy and sinister, and he's just not, because he's not a good actor. And I feel bad shitting on kid actors, but god damn it, this kid is really bad. And it's not. Like, I was trying to watch, like, what am I supposed to find scary? What am I supposed to find intimidating? What am I supposed to find interesting about this? And I guess I'm supposed to be invested in this kid being slowly possessed by this doll, but we all have no frame of reference because we don't know who this kid fucking was before the trauma hit, so we have no marker, we have no establishment as to what to expect. Like, oh my god, we can't say innocence is lost because we didn't know if this kid had any... Well, I guess we did know the kid was innocent. That was, like, his one defining trait. Okay, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that the movie so rushes into, oh, this kid's traumatized now, that there's no frame of reference we should be looking for in terms of this kid going to the dark side. It just kind of rushes into it, and so by the time the kid does become possessed, you neither really know what has changed, nor do you particularly care. Same goes for the mom. The mom is kind of one note through the entire movie. It's like, I am paranoid about my child, and that is her one defining trait through the entire movie. And even the moral of the story turns out to be that Kate Holmes is a shitty mom because she didn't protect her child from the burglars and got knocked out. Because, yeah, that was totally within her power. And then she agrees to it. So I don't even know, like, what I was trying to say. And then more trauma happens, and then the movie like, ends with them all having a happy dinner, like, going like, yeah, I guess the other, like, even worse trauma canceled out the initial trauma, so I'm okay now. I'm really okay. Everything's fine now, except it's not, because we want to pump a third out of one of these fuckers out. So it turns out maybe he is possessed, or maybe, like, the doll possessed the mask at the end. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, like, there's a lot of just nothing happens, and then there'll be, like, not even really a jump scare, just so much, like, something will happen with the doll out, imply that it's possessed, and you'll think, that's really dumb. And then, I'm trying to think of some examples. The movie's already leaving my brain. That car agrees. So, like, for example, they go to the house, nothing. They find the doll. Okay, fine, whatever. Nothing happens. And then, I'm trying to think of an example of something that happens. Brahms turns the TV on for a little while, and the boy is nowhere near the doll. So it's like, oh no, is the doll haunted? I guess I'll go check on the boy. Go check on the boy, and the bedroom door, the door to the boy's bedroom is locked. But, oh no, Judas standing outside. Who must have locked the door? Must have been the doll. And that's like, okay, this is dumb. And it only gets dumber from there. Moving forward, nothing happens. Nothing. Creepy doll. Oh no, nightmare. Most of the scare sequences are nightmares in this movie. It's really lazy. And then, oh no, I guess the mom discovered this child's notebook. This is where it gets insultingly dumb, where it's like, why don't you just fucking leave? Because this place is clearly not helping your child. Where, one day, Jude is out doing something, and she finds his notebook, and he finds inside the notebook are all these creepy drawings of, like, the doll, and, like, the doll shooting her parents, and stuff like that. You know, things that are genuine fucking concerns, and you should deal with. Maybe Kate Holmes is a bad mom in this movie. Sorry, I'm watching a person kind of slowly amble towards my car. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's slightly concerning. So, yeah, and then that happens, and then it gets to the point where the mom decides, like, okay, I'm gonna push back against this doll's rules or whatever, and then, because I guess a doll wants a plate of food for some reason. Again, it made sense in the first movie. It doesn't make a lick of sense now. But the mom says, no, this is bullshit. It's a fucking doll. We're not gonna give it fucking food and just waste it. So he doesn't. And then I guess she leaves the room for a bit, and then they come back and the gigantic table is flipped over because the doll wanted numbs. I don't know. It's stupid. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And I was like, fucking really? And then it's like, okay, well maybe like this will lead to something. And then, goddamn this fucking car. And then it gets dumber because then then later on they have family over. It's like, okay, maybe family will make things better, even though you should just have left by this point. But I guess maybe the Airbnb was too expensive by this point in the game. I don't know. And then there's this one, like, it's family members, and there's cousins, and one of the cousins is just a gigantic dick for no fucking reason. Oh no, I forgot one part. And then one day, it says, after the table flipping scene, then they come into his room later on, and it turns out they've run away to the big house because they should have followed the rules. Ooh, And then they run over to the house, and Katie Holmes finds him, and he's wearing the Brahms mask from the first movie. And it's like, oh no, is Brahms possessed? Oh, scary child. It kind of runs the same issue that Pet Sematary ran into, where it's like, I just don't find 9-year-olds scary because, they're 9. What are they gonna fucking do? You can just, kind of punt them and they fly off. It's not like they can do much. So forgive me if I'm not intimidated by the child wearing a spooky Halloween mask. Unless it's, the Satan kid, then maybe, has power or something. Then that may be a little creepy, but otherwise, no, who gives a fuck? And then the family comes over, and there's this kid who's a gigantic dick for no fucking reason, and that's just one defining character trait. He is just a fucking asshole. And meanwhile, Katie Holmes is watching from the window upstairs, even though and then does nothing as this older kid is just clearly picking a fight with this young boy, calling him like mental, saying like you're crazy, your doll is stupid, and he taunts everybody. And even though they can't hear what they're saying, they can still see him clearly starting to get into a fight. And Katie Holmes just sits up there like she turns to check up on him, sees it, and is actively concerned, and then decides, I'll see how this plays out, and then does nothing. Even when it gets to the point where Jude and the older boy are like playing are fighting over this girl's hat, and it's clearly not like a game. They're clearly like in a thing, and she stands there and just kind of just waits to see how it plays out. And then the boy lets go, and the kid gets stabbed on like a broken croquet stick. And like, yeah, first off, like, serves that kid fucking right. Second of all, why didn't you intervene the minute you saw things starting to escalate? that part more than any other part is like, maybe you're kind of a bad parent. And it's like, that is the so there's that stupidity. And then stupidity continues, where again, nothing happens, and then it turns out Joseph the groundskeeper was actually working with Brahms the entire time, and he holds Katie Holmes hostage while Brahms takes Jude over to the big house, and then he fends her off. She fends him off, runs over to the big house, and then finds that he's now fully possessed, wearing the mask and everything. And you're wondering, he's like, okay, if you knew this doll was gonna be a problem, you see where it's going, you see that it's clearly causing problems, and you have an opportunity to do something about it, because there are multiple times when the doll is alone and the child is not there that you can make it disappear. And I know parents do this. Do not do not lie. That we all have, like, every parent has had that one obnoxious fucking toy that their kid was just a little too into, and that all have made conveniently disappear. And just to prove how like dumb this villain is, even like while Brahms, now in possessed child form, is holding a double-barrel shotgun to his mom and says, I'm gonna kill you because you couldn't protect us, so we're gonna live here now, even though the whole crux of the first movie is that he can only live because he had a babysitter. Yeah, that would like give him food and stuff, but sure. And then, what dumb shit happens that? Oh, and then while this is happening, she convinces her son to give him the doll, and she puts it very gently on a chair, despite the fact there is a gigantic fucking furnace right before him that basically screams, throw me in there. And that's exactly what ends up happening, and it's such an obvious like choice to do, but instead we do the dumb fucking opposite thing. We'll put it on a fucking chair and hope for the best. Sure, I'm sure that won't go wrong in any way, shape, or form. And then the dad sneaks around, just bashes the doll over the croquet mallet, and immediately the kid like loses focus. Like, oh my god, I'm not possessed anymore. How did you do that? Now, maybe I took the possessed doll and I hit with a fucking stick. And that's how fucking easy to kill this stupid monster is. And then it turns out, oh no, the doll isn't dead. It's got this weird demon face and and he's gonna like use psychic powers that I guess it just has now. To fucking kill Joseph the caretaker, who just kind of wanders in like, what have you done? What have you done? What you've unleashed evil you don't understand. And then he just kind of just gets thrown against the wall and dies. And then the boy just goes like, oh, don't worry, Bram, I'll take care of you. Psych. And then throws him in the fire, and then the monster's dead, and that's it. That's the end of Bram. So I was like, let me get this straight. Your big bad monster that you've been building up this whole fucking movie, that you've implied that was really the reason behind the first movie, and for all kinds of killings beforehand, it was really the doll the whole time. This evil fucking doll that has somehow lasted decades can be hit with a stick and dead. So the question remains, First off, why did none of these fucking people decide to do anything remotely close to that at any point up till now? I don't fucking know. The minute I would have seen, like, I feel like the minute you see like, your son drawing creepy drawings of you being shot or killed by the doll, that's like, no, that's it. That doll's going. We're gonna make a distraction for the kid. Now I'm gonna go on and just smash this thing against a rock or something. Leave no trace of it behind. Just fucking get rid of it. Throw it in the trash. Whatever. It's like no one's ever seen Poltergeist. Yeah, it's one of those movies you have to assume horror movies don't exist in this universe. Otherwise, like, the minute you see, like, creepy drawings or possessed houses or tales of, grown-ass men living in the walls of the house you're, like, I don't know, 30 yards from, it's like, you know what? We're gonna go home. We're done here. We're clearly not getting anything more out of this trip. It's only making things worse. Let's just leave. Let's just go home. And we'll leave the fucking doll here. Because fuck that thing. And, like, so many stupid things I don't do. I hope I'm making some kind of sense today, because I feel like I'm not, but I'm trying, despite working under sick conditions, this movie just made me dumber, and it was a waste of an hour and a half. I don't feel as insulted as I did when I saw The Turning, but it's still really fucking bad, and it's probably getting on my top 10 worst list. I'm calling it right now, just because it is so fucking awful. And I hated every second of it. And I'm always so tired by it. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore. I'll move on to other topics. And I'm going to do exactly that. So I'm going to talk about trailers really quick, about things I can talk about, and then I'm going to go home. So first trailer I got was for New Mutants. The little movie that could, as it were. Because, for those not familiar with this movie or haven't followed the kind of drama that's been going on with it, New Mutants was like one of the last X-Men movie that was supposed to come out through Fox. That was like trying to be like a horror movie, but I guess like the test screens didn't go very well. The executives didn't like it, but it went through a bunch of massive reshoots, trying to make something salvageable out of it, but ultimately wasn't able to do so before the Disney-Fox merger went through. And then I guess Disney looked at it and said, you know what, we like tune this up to original Vision. It might not actually be that bad. So I guess they're actually giving it a theatrical release now. They liked it enough to give it a theatrical release, which I find interesting. So we will see how well that turns out. I hope it's good, and I'm wondering if they're going to use this as a way to kind of sneak the mutants into the MCU. I would say it would be like 70-30 chance that they won't, but who knows? Weirder things have happened. I guess it really depends on how this movie is received. Then we got the other Marvel movie, Black Widow, which looks good. I'm looking forward to that. The Hunt, the other controversial movie that I got the trailer for this week, which was a movie that a lot of people like got all up in arms about because I don't even remember why at this point. It was so stupid. Something about like anti-conservative message or something like that, or something or another. It got enough drama to it that I got pulled from theaters, but I guess now that they're using that as a marketing push, try to say like this is the most talked movie of last year that no one even saw. And yeah, it looks like he's kind of lean into it more. We'll see how it goes. It could be good. It could be perfectly fine. I don't know. We'll see. Then there's Bloodshot, which is the other comic. I got a surprising amount of comic movies in this trailers in this movie. Bloodshot, which is the other comic movie from Sony that stars Vin Diesel. And I was actually thinking to myself, one thing I actually appreciate this current generation of superhero movies compared to the early 2000s era of superhero movies is that this generation isn't like ashamed to be superhero movies, and they'll actually have people in the bright colored costumes and have them run around doing superhero things. And I feel like Bloodshot kind of takes more inspiration from the early 2000s era in that it just like it's Vin Diesel with the t-shirt and pants, and that's really about the closest like superhero ensemble he gets. And I was gonna make that as a nitpick, and then I looked up the actual comic design for Bloodshot, and I was like, okay, it's not really original there either. It's just a guy with pecs and a giant red circle on his chest. Okay, whatever. Maybe this will be fine. I don't know. Looks like it can go either way. Could be good, could be crap. I don't know. We'll see. Then we go Quiet Place Part 2, which comes out in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that one. The Way Back, which is looks like the gritty reboot of the Mighty Ducks, or pick, I don't know, put any sports movie here. Air Bud. Where it looks like it's trying to do that old formula of, we need you, coach. You need to coach this team. It'll make you a better human being. We'll use it to solve your issues. And they need you because they need to come together and be a real sports team. Except now I guess it has Ben Affleck and it's trying to be like a metaphor for conquering alcoholism or something. I don't know. It looks kind of like, it looks like they're trying to put like a drama twist on the old cliche, and I don't think it's gonna work, but who knows? I've been wrong before. And the movie I'm really like excited for, which is Promising Young Woman, or Women, I'm not sure which that one looks really interesting. That one's about like a woman who, I guess, from what I gleaned from the trailer, dropped out of college because she was sexually assaulted there, and then she tried to bring it up to administration. Administration did nothing, and she was too scarred to deal with it. Like, it's just too scarred to deal, so she dropped out. Like, justifiably so. And now goes into bars and has very super drunk to trick nice guys into revealing their real nature, and then exacts their revenge on them. It's a very interesting revenge fantasy idea, and I'm really excited about that. It looks really interesting. Like, the acting looks really good. This, like, cinematography looks good. The set design looks great. Looks like it's a lot of very interesting touches. I'm very curious to see how it goes out. And that was the last trailer I got, and it lifted my spirits a little bit after watching this. Nothing of a horror film. Yeah, don't watch this if you haven't gotten gleaned from that from my review. Granted, not my best work, but I hope my tiredness was entertaining at the very least. Later, I think tomorrow, I'm gonna try to go see Call of the Wild, which I've been hearing mixed things about. I think how much you like it depends on how much you can get past the CGI dog, which some people can, some people can't. We'll see. I'm either going to have Grant or Howard on that one. So, we'll see how it goes. Should be great. Okay, I'm done. I'm going to go home now. Bye.